Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. There's a question here. I'll have a quick look first. Well, we can start with that and see what happens. Question goes, are there evil people or just evil behaviors? It depends. I mean, we are the accumulation of our actions. So you do enough evil actions, I guess they can call you an evil person. But from a Buddhist perspective, no one's purely evil and no one's purely good. We all have the ability to change. As you know, the mind does change very, very quickly. So it says you're an evil person, if that means that all you can do is evil stuff. No, not entirely true. We all have the capacity to be really, really evil. When we have lots of craving in our mind, when we're deluded, then we can do lots of evil things that harm others and ourselves. Or the opposite is also possible. If the mind is really clear, the mind is really pure, then your action stems from that. So the Buddha said, one of these famous sayings you probably hear over and over again, the mind is a forerunner of all things. If a mind is pure, then your actions will come from that. Action will be pure. The mind is impure, untrained, then will cause a lot of suffering to yourself and others. That's why the Buddha said the most precious thing in the world, is not to win the lotto. It's not the most precious thing. Not to become the prime minister or a king, right? To be a superstar, movie star, or to live forever, to be healthy forever. The most precious thing in the world is a well-trained mind. So it's interesting that he would say that. So this implies that a mind is something that is trainable, that we all have the capacity to train the mind. So it's not like we're born good, born evil. Some people, obviously, from a Buddhist perspective, we have lots of spiritual qualities, lots of barami, as we say. Some people were just born, kind of very nice and gentle and generous. And some people, as we say it, have a lot of issues. They're always causing trouble for themselves and others. Always coming to me, Ajahn, I have this problem. It's like, what? Another? More problem? Yeah, so some people just seem to have to deal a lot. But as I always trying to remind people, it's not where you start that's so important. But it's what you make with what you have. It's what you do with what you have. Even if you do have a lot of issues, even though you have a lot of attachment and you act from that, you can still have the capacity to train the mind and lessen your suffering. And that's why the training is important. That's why people come to monastery and meditation center, to learn to calm the mind, to see clearly. In our tradition, True wisdom comes from stillness. That's why the title of the retreat is the wisdom of stillness. True wisdom doesn't come from books, come from reading or writing. It comes from a still mind. If you're truly wise, there is no problem. You have lots of problems, then you're not seeing something clearly, truly. There's something that you're missing. Sometimes it's good to ask a friend, I'm having a lot of issues here. What do you think my problem is? And it is. So much of the world's problem is from distractions, from confusion, from attachment. Because we don't see clearly, otherwise we make mistakes. That's why we cause suffering for ourselves and others. That's why we make difficulties for ourselves and others. Once you see clearly, it's like, that's what I was doing wrong. You stop. It's not like you see something clearly and then you have to do something to get there. No, once you see clearly, the problem is dissolved. There are no problems. And that's the magic of wisdom. That is the result of wisdom. Problem disappears. It's because we don't see clearly that we keep attaching. I think it's like the Buddha said, one of the main confusion in the world, we take what is suffering and think that's happiness. And what is happiness, we think is suffering. Simple things like, oh, it's wonderful to have kids. Until you get them, you're like, oh. It's wonderful to find a partner. From a Buddhist perspective, from a monastic perspective, I'm biased, of course, we're monks. So we're thinking, I've got enough problems with my 5 khandhas, my own body and mind, my own emotions, and to get attached to somebody else's emotions and khandhas, you're asking for a lot of problems. And then you have little babies, little khandhas running around, you're stuck for another 40 years, right? In the old days, the kids grow up, 18, and you're free from them. But these days, apparently, they stay until they're about 45 or something. So the problem never ends. So what we take, and then the opposite, say, oh, what are you doing for your holiday? Oh, I'm going to a meditation center. Oh, that sounds fun. What do you do there? You eat good food, good movies, see a lot of interesting people. No, we don't eat in the afternoon. And we don't really get to pick what we eat. We eat whatever the people give us. But sometimes we're lucky and they get good food. But sometimes, you get to talk to people. No, we have to keep normal silence. We have to be quiet. What? That sounds like a lot of suffering. But it isn't, as you know. It's sometimes it is a very wholesome thing, a very precious thing, just to step back from the worldly way of doing things, the worldly ways of relating to things, and to know for yourself, what does it feel like to come to a place, to not talk as you normally would, to restrain speech, to not entertain or distract yourself with movies or social activities, and just to be present, with your body and mind as it is, to take pleasure just in quiet walks in the forest, to take pleasure just to sit quietly, not have anything to do. What does it feel like? Just have a few days of that, as opposed to a full-on holiday with jam-packed activities going here, going there. Know for yourself, what is true happiness? What is true peace? what is a true blessing in life? Only to know instead of to believe or disbelieve. And it is only true through stillness do we see clearly. So when you are having a lot of problems, having issues, just step back and reflect. Am I moving too much? Am I doing too much? Am I reacting? Or do I need some space to slow down, to be quiet? Think clearly. Clear my mind before I say things, before I make decisions, before I react. But having said that, someone told me, what was it? They said, you say present moment, Ajahn, but you're running around planning this, planning that. You just told someone that they should talk to you about July already. Yes, as a senior monk, you do have to do a certain amount of planning. You know, the cook doesn't naturally appear and cook great food, you know. There's a bit of organizing that happens. But the thing is, every time I put a plan into action, I truly try to remind myself, yeah, it is just a plan. As you know, in the Buddhism, right? People attract a lot of young people who don't like organized religion. Yes, Buddhism, especially in this monastery, we're completely disorganized. We're trying to aim for things, but it doesn't always come out that way, as you might have noticed. There are 3 cooks and only 1 showed up, but usually something works out. And that's the main thing, is just to, you aim for a certain direction, but you know that the world doesn't always bend to our will. And so much of the Dhamma practice is trying to bend with the world, trying to make things work with what you have. And that takes a lot of mindfulness, takes a lot of awareness, takes the ability to adapt to a different situation. And so much of that is what that is, the training, the practice is about. The ability to adapt to the ever-changing conditions of the world. That's the teachings of impermanent, that things are not reliable, things do not turn out as you always expect. But it doesn't have to be a cause for suffering or stress. This ability to be open, to be awake, aware, and to learn to adapt to different situations. It gives you a lot of confidence that you can be happy, you can be at ease in any situation. Your happiness is not is not dependent upon a certain outcome, a certain expected result. This life does proceed in a certain direction, but it can change very quickly. Obviously, we've all been around for the COVID, also around for the flooding, the fires, and those are just the large social events. But each and every one of us have faced individual emotional stuff, personal stuff in our life that change in unexpected ways that we cannot predict. And how we react, how we learn from that, will determine whether we live a life that is with ease and well-being, or we live a life that is full of anxiety and stress, worrying about what changes around the corner. Because as you know, each and every one of us, no matter how strong our willpower is, how much power we yield, we cannot control the world. No one can. No prime minister, no king, No billionaire can control everything in the world. But the more we learn how to adapt, to flow with things, then the more you can see that our happiness increases, a sense of well-being. We're not worried as much. Yes, things might happen. You might get a flooding, there might be a fire. We'll deal with it when it comes. There's no point worrying about it when it hasn't arrived yet. Sometimes we do waste a lot of energy going to the future to get anxious about what might happen. We do our best, of course. Use our common sense. Obviously, for the fire season, it's not like we're Buddhist. Oh, we're Buddhist monk. We don't prepare. That's impermanent. Come on. When the fire comes, we'll worry about it. No, of course we prepare for the fires. We have things already. We have hoses. We have fire equipment. We look at the fire trails to make sure that we know where to go, which keys fit to where when the fires do come. So we do what we can, but we don't sit there frantically worry every single hot day that, oh, this is it. This is the last one. So learn to live life in a way that with a sense of ease, sense of joy, sense of openness, and not allow the fear and anxiety to overrun our life. And to do that, you do need to have a clear mind, a mind that is still, not a mind that's distracted and tired from overthinking. The wisdom of stillness. But sometimes, like I said, generally, the less you do, the more opportunities you have for calmness, for clarity. But sometimes, depends on your situation. Sometimes you're in a situation that does require a lot of thinking, planning. There's no point to say, oh, I don't want to do this. So in that situation, you move with it. So it's about moving with the conditions and not try to fight it. So obviously, in my position as a senior monk, as a manager, there's plenty of things, moving parts to keep a pace of. And that's fine. I don't say, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. Just let the monastery fall apart. So I'm permanent anyway, it's not mine. And go and do something else. No, we have responsibilities. We all do. And we do the best we can to meet that. But we also understand that not everything is up to us. To remind people, even the simple things like coming to this monastery. Yes, you have to have some intention to come to the monastery. But that alone is not enough to get you here. You have to have a healthy body. All of a sudden you have some pain in your right side, you're going to run off and do something else. So your body has to cooperate. And then you go and you turn on the car. Well, the car also has to cooperate. Engine has to be good order, no flat tire. And then you're driving along, and hopefully the road will take you all the way here, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes there's a flooding, and you're stuck. You gotta go back. So each time that we decide to do something, there is multitudes of all the different conditions that have to come together for that intention to be realized. And yes, the fact that we do get to where we want to go most of the time, it's not a guarantee that will all happen every single time. So it's always good to remember that each intention we have does require many, many parts to come together in a timely way for things to happen. That this teaching on uncertainty, unreliability is something that we should keep in the foremost of our mind perception. When you plan anything, every time you get up in the morning, yes, you're going to do certain things. Hopefully you'll finish the day, but it's not sure. But every time you focus on this, it allows us to be, reminds us to be very, very mindful of what our actions are. We don't get lost in the habits of daydreaming, habits of getting stuck in the past to remorse, or get stuck in the future to over planning or anxiety. We're present because we don't know that we have another day. We're mindful. Today is my last day. How am I going to spend that day? To spend it with clarity and calmness, to bring a sense of well-being to myself and others. I'm going to spend the day obsessing about something, obsessing about the past, the future. Someone irritated me, find ways to get back. Obsess about different things we can get out of other people. I used to work with somebody who was always thinking about how they can get things from other people. So we kind of joke about it. It's like, so-and-so is very, very thoughtful. He's always thinking about other people. What can I get from this people? What can I get from that people? What this person can do for me? They're always thinking about other people. So hopefully, that's not how we look at life. So much of our happiness and well-being, what does appear to come from getting what we want, getting more things. In reality, it's actually just the opposite. It is the more that we give up, the more that we give to others, that's where our true sense of well-being, true sense of happiness comes from. I think there was, I don't know how the story goes, might come out wrong. But I think it was a very, very wealthy person. He wanted to give somebody else who wasn't as wealthy, thought of a nice project, and he donated. Let's say Bill Gates had this. Bill Gates, very, very wealthy, and I think one of his worker actually thought of a nice project. So he, let's say, donate this school to donate this computer to somebody that was really needed it. And Bill Gates said, "Oh, that's a really good idea. Can I pay you back for the computer you just gave the school?" He's like, "No, I don't need your money. I have enough." And Bill Gates like, "Yeah, see, that's a truly wealthy person. He has enough. He doesn't need anymore." Because sometimes we live in the world that even the super wealthy is never enough. They're still working. 1 billion is enough, 2 is better. When you have 10, I don't know, you have 100 now or something. So it's more. But from a Dhamma perspective, the mind of contentment, the mind that says, I have enough, that is a true blessing. That I have enough. The mind that is appreciative, the mind that is full of gratitude for all that you already have. Otherwise, things are never enough. You have craving in the mind. Sometimes people come to the monastery, come to retreats. Yes, thanks for the retreat, Ajahn. Oh, I really need this retreat. I need to get some peace. I need to get some quietness. I was looking for what the monastery can do for them, what they can get out of it. What chores should I do that I don't have to talk to too many people? I don't have to do too long. Maybe some raking quietly in the forest. Then I have real peace. And it might be true, but sometimes you're in the middle of the kitchen, just giving, working hard. And then you get back to your hut and you're like, wow, the mind's so still, so peaceful. Because you work with a mind of giving up, of letting go, of doing what is necessary. Not working with a mind that is holding, mind that is clinging to an idea what peace is like, an idea what stillness is like. So much of the practice is about letting go, giving up to the present moment, giving up to the present condition, giving up to what the situation or the monastery requires instead of what our ideas, what we want. So as we approach our practice, it's good to reflect. It's not what can I get out of the practice? Not what can I get out of the situation, but how can I give? How can I give to my practice? How can I give to the Dhamma? How can I give to the present moment? What things I can let go of? How can I simplify my life instead of wanting getting more? Why can't I give up? It is the path of shaving away our craving, shaving away our sense of self, shaving away our ideas and expectations of what the practice is like. And we all have that potential to train the mind, to incline it more, giving up, to give to others, towards generosity, towards gratitude, something that we can train and incline towards, the potential each and every one of us have within us. So no one is truly born evil or born truly good. We all have the potential to be the next Buddha. We also have the potential to be the next Devadatta. We don't train the mind. That's his cousin who tried to kill him. So it's the personification of evilness. But as in Buddhism, everything turned out well. Even Devadatta became a Pacceka Buddha in the future life. So there's hope for all of us. So I give you that for your reflection tonight.